So just real quick before we get started, I want to just put this out there right away before all the keyboard warriors start in the comments section below about how that's not a true Danish dough recipe. You're right, it is not, and I don't claim that this is. A true Danish dough is a laminated dough that takes a lot of time. It's an art in and of itself, and it has a certain skill set that goes along with it, and I'm not about to teach that on a 5-minute YouTube video. So if that's the recipe you're looking for, keep on going. But if you want super easy, fast recipe that no one will even know that this is not a true Danish dough, I promise you that. It's going to take you less than, maybe 3 hours from start to finish in the kitchen, and you are going to have yourself some authentic, in the style of Danish, cheese buns, just like any bakery would sell. Okay, so what you are going to need for the dough is all-purpose flour, and then a little extra for rolling out the dough later, softened vegan butter, plant milk, and today I'm using soy milk, dry yeast, sugar, salt, baking powder, nutmeg, and cardamom. Now, I know a lot of you can't get cardamom. It's just not a really common baking spice, but it is one that is used in making real deal Danish dough. But if you don't have it, it's okay. It will still be awesome. My original veganized recipe for this dough called for liquid aquafaba as the egg replacer, but you know me and my plant-based egg by Freely Vegan obsession, so I wanted to see how it fared in this recipe. Of course, it was awesome. So I have increased the liquid amount to compensate for that, but all the written instructions with these variations will be on the blog, so be sure to click the link below for the recipes. When I am making any yeast recipe, you will first prove your yeast in the liquid, and I also give it a pinch of sugar for encouragement. So just let it stand for about 5 minutes, and meanwhile get all the ingredients into your mixer bowl. I'm using my stand mixer with the dough hook attachment, but this entire recipe can be made by hand with no problems at all. I'm just mixing the dry ingredients together, mostly so that there is not a severe spot of salt in any one place, because that could kill the yeast once I add that in. So be sure to mix it or sift all the dry ingredients together before adding in the yeast. You can see here my yeast is nice and frothy, and that is proof that it is indeed working. You do have to be careful with yeast. A lot of times it sits in the supermarket for a really long time and it's just old. So if that's true, it's not going to rise your dough. So always make sure that it's in good shape before adding it to your recipes. And I've added in the yeast milk mixture with my softened vegan butter. I am helping the dough hook along because it just always seems to have a hard time getting everything incorporated in the beginning. But once it's combined, just let it mix for about 5 minutes on medium speed. Now real quick, I just wanted to let you know that this is actually a recipe from my cookbook, Modern Vegan Baking. In addition to these cheese buns, I have variations for fruit and nut danishes if cheese is just not your thing. So this is an example of some of the recipes you would find in my book. If you already have it, thank you so much for the support. And if you want to buy it, the links are below this video. So as you can see, this dough will be soft but not sticky. There is a lot of butter in this dough, so it's not going to be smooth like a bread dough. But after that 5 minutes of mixing, you're going to turn it out onto a floured surface and knead it by hand about 20 times, and it's going to get a bit more smoothed out. Then put it in a lightly oiled bowl, cover it, leave it to rest in a warm spot for about an hour until it's almost doubled in size. Meanwhile, you're going to make the cheese filling, and that is just vegan cream cheese, a spot of butter, confectioner sugar, and cornstarch, and a bit of vanilla extract too. Now, vegan cream cheese is super fragile, so I prefer to always mix it by hand when I'm making like cream cheese icing or basically anything that I don't want it to turn into liquid. For some reason, it just breaks down really easily under harsh mixing, so just grab a spatula or a wooden spoon and mash it all together until it's smooth. Get it to the refrigerator while we now make the cinnamon schmear for the Danish. And this is simply softened vegan butter, brown sugar, and cinnamon. Again, it's just really easy to mix this by hand until it's to like a whipped paste-like consistency. And here on this video, I made way more than I needed, and you'll see that later. So if you're wondering why your amount looks different, I've adjusted to correct the quantities on the written blog post. So again, be sure to click the link below this video and go to GretchensVeganBakery.com to grab all of these recipes. Okay, so it's been about an hour and my dough is beautifully risen. I can't resist manhandling dough. It's just so inviting and it makes me want to touch it and poke at it. All right, now turn it out again onto a lightly floured surface and then press it into a rectangle shape as you gently press out those gases. You're going to roll it to 12 inches by 18 inches, which is actually the size of a half sheet pan, just for reference. Now spread that cinnamon filling over the entire surface. Like I said, I made way too much here, and you don't want this to be really thick and overfilled, or you will have disastrously messy danishes later when you're trying to roll these up. It's just really meant to be a thin layer. Now fold the dough over onto itself, and now it's going to measure 12 inches by 9 inches. But I'm going to roll that out longer again so that my final measure is more like 9 inches by 18 inches. This way, when I cut 1-inch strips of dough, I'll get exactly 18 danishes, and that is what I'm going for. Now you're going to cut a small slit in the center of each of those pieces, and this just helps roll each danish into what we in the bakery call snails. It also gives a really nice look with that spiral when it bakes and opens up and it shows that thin spreading of cinnamon inside. Just twirl them around into a snail shape. You don't want to twirl them too tight though. You do want to give them room to grow. And put them on a parchment lined sheet pan spaced about 2 inches apart. So hey, if you are new here to my channel, welcome, and I do hope you will subscribe. I make all kinds of vegan recipes just like the ones from my bakery years ago. If you would consider supporting the channel by giving me a thumbs up and also leave me a comment, and better yet, sharing this video with someone you think who will love this recipe, that would be awesome. We do have to let the dough rise one more time, so get them covered and to a warm spot again. Only this time it should take about 30 minutes until they are puffy and fluffy and soft and risen up again. At this point, get the oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and make some indents in the center of each snail. You're going to fill it with about 2 to 3 tablespoons of that cheese filling. And I am using aquafaba liquid mixed with sugar for the wash for these danishes. Now this is going to help the color of the baked danishes as well as help seal the dough and give them a nice shine. Now before popping these beauties in the oven, just check it out. I have a double layer sheet pan. These have a tendency to brown really quickly on the bottom, so this is just added insurance that that won't happen. They are going to take about 25 to 30 minutes to bake, and immediately out of the oven I brush them with some melted down jam. All I had on hand today was orange marmalade, but any jelly or jam will do just fine. It is best to serve these the day they are made because like any yeast bun, they will go stale quickly, but they will stay fresh for a day or two in an airtight container at room temperature. So that's it guys, bakery style danishes at home, and everyone will think you bought them at a bakery, an awesome vegan bakery. So if you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. I do hope you will grab the recipe at GretchensVeganBakery.com. Thanks to everyone for checking out this video, and I hope you will join me again hopefully next week for more great vegan recipes. Until then, happy vegan baking guys. Bye for now.